Star Wars Return of the Jedi is directed by Richard Marquand, and it stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Ian McDiarmid. To say that this film had big shoes to fill would be quite the understatement, since it is the follow-up to, well, only my favorite movie ever made, The Empire Strikes Back. But because of that, I think that this film gets some unfair criticism, since it doesn't live up to the original Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. Honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better conclusion to the original trilogy, or even the whole Star Wars saga. Yes, this isn't a perfect movie, and the first two kind of overshadows this one. But I mean, this movie is still really solid, and there are stupid moments in this movie, but I believe that the good completely topples over the more negative aspects. On one more final note, this review will contain spoilers to Return of the Jedi. So if you've never seen this film and you want to avoid any and all spoilers, I would highly recommend skipping to this timestamp so you can receive my spoiler-free thoughts and my final grade on this film. And I will also leave a timestamp in the description that you can skip to so you can also receive my spoiler-free thoughts. This film starts off in Jabba's palace on the planet of Tatooine, and we finally get to see who this Jabba the Hutt creature is. And yes, I am completely ignoring the special editions and the crappy CGI Jabba. Jabba's palace is a masterpiece of practical effects. Every single little creature looks super authentic. And don't even get me started on Jabba the Hutt himself. Apparently it took 6 puppeteers to bring Jabba the Hutt to life, and he looks amazing in this movie. There is not a single shot where Jabba the Hutt looks inauthentic. He always looks realistic. There is not a single doubt in my mind while watching this movie that this is a living and breathing creature. Also, the Rancor monster looks great on paper, but some of the stop motion is a little dodgy, and it is a little distracting. Though I always felt bad for the Rancor owner after Luke kills his monster. Also, speaking of Luke Skywalker, Luke is a complete badass in this movie. He is almost a completely different character, but it's actually pretty believable after everything we see him go through in The Empire Strikes Back, and this new character, I guess, feels earned because of that. Though now he is a fully blooded Jedi Knight, and it is so amazing to watch him in action. And the cherry on top is Luke's new lightsaber, and it's green. Luke's green lightsaber is my favorite lightsaber design in all of Star Wars, and green is my favorite color, which makes me eternally grateful that green lightsabers exist in Star Wars. Apparently, Luke's lightsaber was actually supposed to be blue, but the blue lightsaber didn't blend well with the blue sky during the Sarlacc pit scene. Whoever decided to make Luke's lightsaber green is a hero in my mind. I'm such a big fan of Luke's green lightsaber, I was sorely disappointed to see its lack of involvement in the sequel trilogy, and super pumped to see it again in the end of The Mandalorian. Also, when Leia is enslaved by Jabba the Hutt, she wears a golden bikini, and I actually purchased this here Slave Leia Funko Pop when I was like 13. It was actually pulled from shelves for, I guess, sexual reasons or whatever, and it's actually now worth quite a bit on eBay. Okay, moving on. Also, the scene where R2 shoots Luke's lightsaber up into the sky and Luke flips and catches it always manages to get me pumped up every single time. Though I love the Sarlacc pit battle, I can't help but cringe during Boba Fett's death scene. His death was so anticlimactic, so stupid, that it got retconned a number of times. First time in the expanded universe, and then more recently in Season 2 of The Mandalorian. The first act from this movie has so much going on in it, I forgot to mention Han getting unfrozen in carbonite. I love the scene where Han and Chewie finally reunite. It's just such a heartwarming scene. After Jabba the Hutt and his goons are defeated, Luke pays a visit to good old Master Yoda. And unfortunately, Yoda passes away later in this scene. Though this is a really beautiful scene, I wish that Yoda's death would have happened later in the movie because, well, Yoda's such a great character, and I don't think it really does him justice to really have him in one scene. But I think this is kind of nitpicking. This is honestly a fantastic scene, and we find out that Luke has a sister that happens to be Leia. Yes, Luke and Leia being siblings was foreshadowed a little bit in The Empire Strikes Back, but Luke and Leia being siblings really makes that one scene in Empire super awkward. Also, the Empire has constructed a second Death Star. I honestly think it's really dumb that the Empire would build the second Death Star after what happened to the previous one. But this one's harder to destroy because there's like a force field or something on Endor that our main group of heroes has to go destroy, so the rebels can destroy the Death Star yet again. All this is kind of repetitive of the first movie, but honestly, like, I didn't really care. It was still entertaining to watch. So this force field generator happens to be on the planet of Endor, home of the Ewoks. Before I dive into the controversy of the Ewoks, I should probably mention the pretty dope speeder bike sequence. Luke's lightsaber comes out again, and that's always a good thing. Honestly, this is just a super fun sequence, and I just love the raw speed of the speeder bike scene. So, the Ewoks. I really don't mind them. I mean, it's pretty clear that they were put there to pander to young children, but honestly, they never really bothered me that much. I actually think it's really cool how they're able to take down an Imperial army with their primitive resources. The part where they take two logs and bash them together against an AT-ST is actually really dope, but the part where they're like throwing rocks at fully armored stormtroopers, I'm sorry. I can't suspend my disbelief that far. Also, this film has probably my favorite space battle in all of Star Wars. The mission to destroy the second Death Star. The part where the Star Destroyer crashes into the Death Star is actually really satisfying. And the Millennium Falcon and the Rebel fleet flying through the inner workings of the Death Star is a nice little touch. But easily my favorite part of this film is all the scenes, honestly, with Luke, Vader, and the Emperor. This might actually be my favorite duel in the Star Wars universe. Luke trying to turn his father to the light, and the Emperor behind him taunting him. This scene is just so suspenseful and just so much fun to watch. The lighting, the cinematography, everything in this scene is just perfect. Also, Ian McDiarmid is perfect as the Emperor. He seems to just have so much fun while playing this role, and it completely bleeds through in his performance. Also, the lighting in this scene is just masterful. Vader taunting his son, trying to bring him to the dark side, and we get to see Luke's face. Half of it covered in darkness, and the other half covered in light. Though when Vader pushes the right button, and Luke manages to snap, Luke moves fully into the darkness, as we see him dabble into the dark side. This is an excellent example of visual storytelling. Luke using his lightsaber to bat at his father, and John Williams' beautiful score accompanying this scene perfectly. In a very powerful scene, Luke uses the dark side to defeat his father. Luke looks down at his cybernetic hand, and he looks down at his father's severed cybernetic hand. And then he realizes that he is going down the exact same path his father did. This is another amazing example of visual storytelling. Luke looks at Palpatine dead in the eye and tells him that he will never turn to the dark side and professes that he is a Jedi like his father before him. Palpatine, now enraged, decides to shoot Force lightning at him. In a very powerful scene, Vader gets up, looks at Luke, and watches him get tortured, and he looks back at his master, and he makes the decision to pick the Emperor up and throw him over the Death Star reactor shaft, sacrificing his life. When I saw this film for the first time, I really didn't expect to actually feel something when Vader died. Vader's death scene is actually surprisingly very emotional. This film ends with dancing Ewoks and a victory for the rebellion. And this wraps up the original trilogy. And honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better conclusion to the original trilogy. Honestly, this movie is so good. The conclusion, at least, is so good that it kind of renders the sequels kind of useless. They feel a little tacked on because this movie just ended things so perfectly. Yes, this movie has flaws. Yes, this movie has stupid moments. But I still think this is a pretty great movie. And because of that, Star Wars Return of the Jedi gets an A-. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my review of Star Wars Return of the Jedi. And if you did, make sure to give this video a like. And if you want more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And shout out to Frederick Frankenstein and Guy Pearce. Thanks for watching.